Hi, boys and girls. This is lesson 4 of our knowledge unit 6 about life cycles, cycles in nature. And this lesson is called the life cycle of a plant. So look at those. Look at the different cycles of it. I love pictures like this. All living things pass through stages from birth to adult called a life cycle. For many living things, the cycle of life follows the 4 seasons of the year. Remember, spring, summer, winter, fall. For some living things, the cycle of life is short and is completed in just days, months, or a single year. For other living things, the cycle of life continues for many, many years. So think about the lifespan of certain things, like the fly only lives for a few days, but humans like us can live almost to 100 years old. Some a little bit longer, some a little bit shorter than that, but right around 100 is what we're looking at nowadays. Today, you will learn about the life cycle of a flowering plant. Just think about all the flowering plants that you see in the parks, yards, gardens, fields, and meadows. Our world is awash with color, vibrant flowering plants. Our world is awash with colorful, vibrant flowering plants. How do these plants grow and reproduce or make seeds for new plants? Let's find out. Look at those beautiful flowers. A flowering plant begins its life cycle as a seed. Seeds need special conditions to germinate or begin to grow. Spring provides seeds with the right conditions. Spring provides seeds with the right conditions to grow. Therefore, the life cycle of a flowering plant begins in spring. In spring, there's more sunlight and temperatures are warmer. Seeds need just the right amount of light from the sun, nutrients from the soil, and water in order to grow. Oops, where did it go? Um, Once the seed germinates or sprouts, it grows and develops into a young plant with roots and stems and leaves. We'll go back to this picture. So here's the roots and the stems and the leaves. The first leaves unfold to allow photosynthesis to begin. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food as well as oxygen. Plants use sunlight and water to make food in the form of glucose, a type of sugar. In the warmth of spring and summer, plants continue to grow. The young plant is called a seedling. Gradually, a plant stem will grow taller and true leaves will emerge or come out. Once the plant matures or becomes an adult flower, let me scroll down to this one, sorry. I didn't put them in order. As the plant becomes an adult, flowers appear. In order for a flowering plant to reproduce by making seeds, In order for a flowering plant to reproduce by making seeds that will make new flowering plants, it must be pollinated. Pollination is when pollen from one flower mixes with the pollen of another flower so that the plant can make seeds. But how is pollen transferred from one place to another? In other words, how does pollination occur? Flowering plants need pollinators to help them with pollination. Pollinators are insects, birds, and other animals that are attracted to the shape, fragrance, or color of a flower. Without pollinators, most flowering plants would not produce seeds and fruit. So remember, plants need pollen from other plants in order to make seeds, and pollinators carry the pollen from flower to flower. So let's look at these guys. There are many types of pollinators, such as birds and small mammals, but insects are the number one pollinators of flowering plants. The flowers of a flowering plant are designed to attract various pollinators, especially insects. The shape, fragrance, and color of the flower, as well as the sweet tasting nectar contained within the flower itself, attract many different kinds of insects. As insects move from flower to flower, the sticky substance called pollen clings to their bodies and is transferred from flower to flower. Honeybees, bumblebees, ants, moths, beetles, and flies are just some of the insect pollinators. Okay, so when you see a bee on a flower, leave it alone. It's doing a very important job. Honeybees are the most common pollinators. They carry out more pollination than any other insect. Some scientists think that bees are attracted to bright blue and violet colored flowers, whereas butterflies like the fragrant yellow, pink, red, and orange flowers. Butterflies also like wide petals so that they can settle on them while they drink their nectar. Birds are important pollinators too, especially of wildflowers. For example, hummingbirds have perfectly designed beaks that can reach the nectar inside long, tubular shaped flowers. There are more than 2,000 kinds of birds in the world that feed on nectar. Birds have a poor sense of smell and help to pollinate unscented flowering plants because they are attracted by the color and the shape of the flowers. Look at that. Oop, that's not a bird. We'll talk about this guy in just a second. A variety of small mammals pollinate flowering plants. Mice, shrews, and rats, even tree-dwelling animals such as lemurs and small monkeys, can help to transfer pollen. People also help the pollination process. Often, when people are working in their gardens, the sticky pollen is accidentally carried from flower to flower. For some plants, pollination does not occur during the daytime. Some scented flowers attract nighttime pollinators such as bats, there he is, and moths. Okay, so you have birds, bats, moths, insects, all kinds of things. Although 90% of flowering plants are pollinated by animals, especially insects, the wind and even water can play a part too. Pollen is carried by the wind. Flowering plants that live in water, such as lilies, can be pollinated as the water carries the pollen from one plant to another. Once pollen has been transferred and reaches the new plant, the flower produces seeds. The next part of the process is called seed dispersal. This is the process of carrying the seeds away from the parent plant so that the flowering plant life cycle can begin all over again. So most seeds are dispersed or spread in late summer and fall. Here's some of the ways. Look at these guys. Just like pollination, there are various ways that seeds can be dispersed or spread apart in different directions. Many flowering plant seeds are carried away from the parent plant by the wind. As the wind blows, the seeds are carried up into the air. Some flowering plants have pods or capsules that explode, sending forth a burst of tiny seeds into the air. Other flowering plants drop their seeds into rivers and streams, and the seeds are carried along to their new homes. Sometimes animals carry seeds from place to place without knowing it. Some seeds contained within protective casings can attach themselves to the fur of passing animals. This protective layer helps keep the seeds safe. The protective casing will eventually fall off the animal and rest in the soil, ready to begin the life cycle process. Probably when? In the spring. Some seeds are contained within a fruit that animals like to eat. Animals either spit the seeds out or they eat them, and the seeds reach the earth when the animal droppings are left behind. Once on the ground, they rest in the soil until the germination process begins again the following spring. All of this is happening around us in spring, summer, and early autumn. The potential for new life is being created as flowering plants are pollinated and seeds are dispersed. Across the world, the life cycle of flowering plants is renewed or happens again each year. Okay, so this goes over and over and over and over. And one of the cool things that I like, so this is a sunflower. So this is the day in the life of a sunflower. So it starts as a seed, it germinates in the spring because of water and warmer weather. Okay, and as its stem and leaves, it can use what's called photosynthesis to make it bigger, to help it grow, and then at the end of its life, it drops the seeds. All right. I love this process. It's very, very cool. And we couldn't be alive on Earth without it. All right, there's activities and questions coming. Good luck, boys and girls.